Welcome back to the Mastermind Group, where we discuss all things from business to athletes and the grit and determination that goes into making those things happen. I'm so excited about this guest because I think she embodies all of those characteristics. Alyssa Ustby. She really needs no introduction. Her name speaks for itself. From being overlooked early in her career to making her mark at UNC women's basketball and now playing professionally overseas, Alyssa's story is one of resilience, reinvention, and rising above the noise. In this conversation, we dive deep into NIL, how she navigated that as a college athlete, what she wishes athletes knew more about building a brand, and the mindset that it took for her to succeed on and off the court, and what's next for her as she steps into the pro spotlight. If you're an athlete trying to build a future beyond your jersey, then you don't want to skip this episode. Enjoy. Okay, we'll start off first. Tell me who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Alyssa Ustby. I just graduated from playing at the University of North Carolina for 5 seasons, and I'm currently entering into the professional basketball world.
Okay, so I think you're in a very big stage in every athlete's career. You're done with college. What's your life been like after college?
Well, first of all, the life after college is kind of like a shock because you're in this world where you have so much structure. Like you're with a team, you're playing for a program, you always know what's coming next. You have like a summer practice schedule coming out and all these moving parts that you're familiar with, but now I'm in the unfamiliar. So I don't really know exactly what's next for me, but I know what I'm looking for. So right now I've been talking with a couple different coaches from teams overseas because earlier in this summer, I tried out for the Los Angeles Sparks. So I went to training camp. I was there for about a month, and then they got waived. And then, so I've just kind of been kicking it in Chapel Hill, working out and trying to work on an overseas contract for the fall.
Awesome. So tell me, what was that experience like going to work out for the LA Sparks? Because that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. It was a really challenging experience. There's 18 girls on a training camp roster, and there's only 12 spots at the end of the camp. So it's very cutthroat. As walking in as probably the lowest on the totem pole, it was just an interesting dynamic to see. You have the big stars like Kelsey Plum, Cameron Brink, and Ray Burrell that are kind of leading the charge of the team. And as the one on the lowest of the totem pole, I'm just trying to figure out ways that I can provide value to the team. But one thing that I was really surprised by at camp is how caring and sweet a couple of the girls were. And those are people that I hold in the highest form of respect, because if you're able to perform at a high level like that and care about someone like me who's coming into training camp and kind of fighting for her life, then that's something that sticks out to me. So I'll always speak highly of those girls' names. And if they were ever to contact me in the future and need something from me or anything of that sort, I'm going to be jumping up to help them because of the kindness that they showed me during training camp.
That's awesome. And it's so crazy to me that you would say, being the lowest on the totem pole. I'm like, yeah. That's insane to me, because everything that you've done, I have it written down here. I want to read it off and get your thoughts. 3-time All ACC, over 1,000 career points, right? Mm-hmm. 900 plus rebounds, mm-hmm. Team captain, leader in rebounds and doubles, AC academic honor roll. That's crazy. What does it mean to you to have crushed so many goals and broken so many records at UNC? Because I think that speaks for itself. That's insane.
It definitely means a lot. And there is one record that I was really eyeing since I got to Carolina, was achieving the first triple-double in the women's program. And so that's probably one of my favorite ones. And I look back on those accolades and I'm really proud and I feel accomplished. And I'm really just blessed to have had that era of my career. And then I think just what's interesting as you transition to the pro world is, unfortunately, that stuff doesn't matter. When I'm showing up at training camp, nobody cares what I did in my college career. Nobody just looks at the multitude of those things that I accomplished, because they're looking at what is she providing me this day in this moment. And so I think that's where the challenge of training camp is. You don't have that sweat equity that you would have in a program when it comes to your junior, senior year, and your coach understands what you've provided for the team. So you have a little bit more freedom to do some, like, try new things in practice and try new things in games. But when you're somewhere where you're starting on a clean slate, you have to just start chipping away and just providing value from the jump.
Right. It's a lot of pressure.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but pressure makes diamonds.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
What are some of the overseas teams that you're eyeing, that you're thinking
Yeah.
would be a good fit?
So I'm really interested in a team that's based in Italy. And I was just actually talking with my agent this morning, and we're trying to work something out in our contract because my brother, I have 3 older brothers, and my oldest brother is getting married. And so he's getting married in October. And that's when the season will have already been started. And so ideally, if I want to make the wedding, which the wedding that I'm in, I would have to miss 1 game. And this team is considering pulling the contract opportunity because I'll be missing 1 game. And so I'm kind of in a little bit of a dilemma.
Oh, what does your brother think?
I actually haven't told my brother yet because I am still waiting for my agent to connect with the coach and just kind of see where he's at, because he said that was his expectation and what he wants to do over text. But I was like, hey, could you please call him and talk to him about it? I'd be there for every other practice, every other game. It's just this one weekend, this one time, and there's not anything else that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, and I have to do this. It's literally one thing, and I promise I won't ask for anything more. So I'm really hoping and praying that this can work out, because the location in Italy is great. It's an hour from Rome, and it's right on the beach. So it sounds like a great first place for me to kind of get my feet wet in the overseas world.
Yeah, I mean, you could always say hey guys, I'm just saying destination wedding.
Right, that's true.
I mean, who wouldn't want to get married in Italy?
Exactly.
But no, that is so awesome, because that was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to meet with you, was because just understanding how to transition from a college ball player to now going pro. I think recently you also signed with, 3XBA?
Yeah.
Right? Tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the 3XBA, I don't know a ton about the organization specifically, but my understanding is that they are a group that is playing in what's called Hoop Fest. I never heard of Hoop Fest before this, but the more I talk to people from the West Coast, the more they're like, this is a huge deal, because Hoop Fest is super popular. The event is hosted in Spokane, Washington, and my understanding is that they block off the entire downtown area. They have 50 plus half-court basketball courts outdoors, and there's a massive tournament. And they have, I don't know, I think the youngest ages are maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and it goes all the way up to 60 plus. So there's tons of tournaments happening simultaneously. And so the one that I'm in with the 3XBA is has a lot of college players. It has a lot of girls who got waived from training camps or waived from being on a WNBA team throughout the season, and all these girls are joining. And so there's a lot of really good competition that's going to be in this tournament, and there's prize money. And then another benefit of winning the tournament is your team gets to represent Team USA for a couple 3v3 tournaments. Ooh. And so there's a lot on the line, which is really exciting, and I love that. So yeah, I'll be leaving in probably exactly a week, I think, to go out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's kind of like a for lack of a better term, like a qualification almost.
Yes.
to be able to jump at more of these opportunities.
Exactly.
Is that kind of how you're looking at it? This could be another attempt at making another WNBA team.
Yeah, I think this is just, I feel like to get into the WNBA, at least when you're in my position, it's taking these opportunities to get better and to get more opportunities to have eyes on your game and eyes on what you can bring. And I've played for the USA 3v3 team before, and I've traveled to a couple different countries one summer, and I'm really excited for that opportunity again because I had a lot of fun. I got coached by some really great coaches, and so yeah, it's definitely something that I want to go there and I want to win. And I don't know who my teammates are. I think they send that out within this next week, and so it'll be really cool to see which girls I'm matched up with and are on my squad to try to get this thing done.
That's awesome. So when will you be competing? You said you leave next week,
I
right?
leave on the 25th, and then I think the games are like the 27th and 28th. And then they're streamed and televised. So
very cool. Yeah, we'll have to tune in on that.
Yes.
That'd be really cool. So we'll take a step back. We'll dial it back. When you were in high school deciding how early did you commit to a college?
Not very early. I committed, I think, in the fall of my junior year. Mm-hmm. And I think that was pretty standard for girls.
Okay. And when you were first, were you even going for basketball? Because I know you played other sports too, right?
Yeah, I was really interested in playing softball at the Division I level as well. And I was actually curious about dual sporting. But when I talked to Coach Banghart, she was not a fan. She was like, "You're just going to play basketball." And I was like, okay, I will not argue with you. However, when I look back at it, I'm glad I made that decision because my ultimate goal and my priority is to become a professional basketball player. And I can only imagine that the more time taken away from that throughout the year, just the harder it would be down the line. So I'm glad I made that decision.
That would have been crazy if you played softball and basketball at Carolina.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
Who was the last dual sport women's athlete? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do know.
I don't even know of any.
I do know a girl that plays at UCLA who plays basketball and softball, and she's a pinch runner for softball. But otherwise, I don't really know many. And if I'm playing softball, I'm gonna want to be starting shortstop and in the batting lineup. I'm gonna be very involved in the game. Like I'm not just gonna go to run some bases because I had such a great high school softball career and played softball all year round in high school. So I have a lot of experience with it. And I know I could have provided the team a lot of value. So I would have had to dive as far in as I can.
Yeah. Oh man, that would have been awesome. So did you always have an eye on Carolina, or what drew you to North Carolina?
So in high school, I wasn't even ranked in the ESPN top 100. And so seeing that was my first realization of, I think I'm going to have to go to this sector of schools because for whatever reason, I'm not valued by whoever the ESPN analysts or rankers are. But I started talking to some coaches at Minnesota, Northwestern, Stanford, and I was like, okay, this kind of doesn't align with these rankings. And so I was like, okay, that was my first sign of, all right, don't pay attention to those. And I had originally developed my relationship with Coach Banghart when she was at Princeton. She coached there for a number of years, won an Ivy League championship. And I told her no, because I didn't want to go to an Ivy League school. Because my thing was, if I'm going to be on scholarship, if I'm going to go Division I for basketball, I'm going to go on scholarship because I don't want my family or myself to have to come up with the money to pay for that opportunity. And so I said no to Courtney when she was at Princeton. And then on Twitter, one day I randomly saw that, I saw her holding a pair of Jordans in front of a private jet that had UNC logos on it. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And I remembered how great of conversations we had. And so I was like, I don't know, this might be a long shot, but I'm going to see if my AAU coach will connect us again. And so I texted him. I sent him a screenshot of the tweet that she'd posted. And I was like, what are the chances you think of her reaching back out to me and trying to get me on her team now? Because I was like, UNC is crazy. And he was like, I actually think she'll take you up on a call. And I was like, great. So we talked, and she said that she had one spot left on the roster. And she was like, but I'm just letting you know, don't expect to play. Don't expect to, do this. If you have to transfer, I'll let you know. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, I just want a foot in the door. And so I came in with 5 freshmen. And again, bottom of the totem pole, nobody really expected anything of me. And then the college years started from there.
Yeah, the results spoke for themselves.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy. It seems to be like a ongoing story with you, the underdog.
Right.
How you could be an underdog, I'll never understand. But
yeah.
Did that almost drive you throughout college to prove everyone wrong?
Absolutely. It drove me from literally like junior year of high school, when I'm like seeing all these rankings come out and I'm looking at the list. I'm like, I've played against her. I know that I can provide more value than she does on the court. I've played against her. I've beat her. I've played against her. And so knowing that and kind of like going through those rankings, I gave myself confidence, because I was like, this is actually absurd. And I think what Coach Banghart says is that I just didn't go to a lot of like the big showcases or in a lot of those events that had a lot of visibility. But also with my family, I have 3 older brothers, and they're all like, they all got moving parts to their lives that my parents are trying to be involved in. So I just didn't really have like the time and resources close enough to be able to do those things. And I remember people always said, like, if you're a good enough athlete, like the coaches will find you. And so I just trusted that. And I'm just grateful that Coach Banghart was able to stick it through with me. And I'm sure she's grateful that I turned out to have a successful college career. And like, even though I was not the popular choice in the coach's office.
Stories like this are exactly why I built the mastermind group, because there were so many great and talented athletes that their stories weren't being highlighted, or they didn't have the right tools in place for them to communicate that to the world. And so if you're finding yourself frustrated that you can't get your story out there, or you can't build an impactful brand, then click the link in our bio.
That's crazy. Because, not only will if you're skilled enough, will the coaches find you, but you also created those opportunities for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, the credit to you as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
So early on in your college career, obviously it didn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the early challenges that you had to overcome, that you were like, wow, I don't know how I got through that, but it changed me as a player?
There's a lot of early challenges, and I think the biggest one for me right away was fitting into the team. And what I mean by that is more in like the type of athlete I am side. So I'm the type of athlete that's never going to skip a rep. If we're running line drills, I'm touching the line with my hand because I want it to be the hardest possible, just so I can improve my conditioning and not cut corners. So that's the type of athlete I am. And so I felt like that's the mindset that I came in with, and not as like the upperclassmen were not a fan of it, because I think they felt like I was trying to one up them, or I was, out with different intentions, when really I'm just there to get better and see where I can take my career. It's not about anybody else. It's only about myself. And so I think that made it hard for me to fit in right away. And, I feel like girls are able to perform better once they feel like they belong. And I think on the male side, like once they start performing, then they feel like they belong. And so it was really hard for me to perform well right away, because I just didn't feel like embraced as much as I would have liked.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's almost like you get that, and I say this because I've felt like this a lot in my life right now, of like dealing with business, and like almost feeling like you think other people think you're a tryhard,
mm-hmm.
but really it's like, no, I'm just driven. Like,
yes.
I just want to do really, really good.
Yes.
It's like, it has nothing to do with you.
Correct.
So, do you think that some of that translated into the way you played and the way you interacted with everyone? Like, over time, did it start getting better as everyone got kind of on the same page?
Yeah. And I think, like, to your point, like when people see somebody that's that driven and it just doesn't match what they're used to, it makes them feel uncomfortable. Whatever that reason may be. I think sometimes in my experience, that's almost like me being as driven and competitive as I was, it almost challenged other people and challenged how they do things in their life. And sometimes that feels threatening. And even though that's not intentional, it's not what I intend at all. It just comes off that way. But I think because of my consistency, and I didn't just, go really hard in the beginning to try to like earn some eyeballs from the coaches, I think that's when it started to turn a little bit for my teammates, because they're like, oh, wait, this is how she acts all the time. Like, this is also how she acts off the court. Like, I care about what I eat. I care about getting good sleep. I don't like to go, I wasn't a big partier. I didn't like going out and staying up late. And so all those things were a shock, and people thought I was weird for it. Like, just didn't think I was very cool. I didn't fit in. And, but I think over time, once our coaches started to realize that that's kind of how I operated, they started to praise it. And so that threatened some other girls, but other girls were like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like, can you teach me? Like, I want to start like living and operating this way. Like, it seems like you found a lot of benefit in it. So, ultimately what that's taught me is that you're going to have your people, and then there's going to be people who don't agree and don't want to kind of live the way you're living, which is absolutely okay. And so I think I finally learned to put my energy into those people that respect my habits and respect what I do that makes me feel good and makes me perform well. And so that was a really hard challenge as well to overcome and not care about what other people think.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. Like that, because I've seen it too. Like you see D1 athletes, like they're like, yeah, man, I'm just eat whatever I want, party all the time. I'm like, and you're still able to go out and perform.
No, it's
like,
impressive. Some of these habits, you'd be very shocked.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, you're still able to ball. Okay,
Yeah,
more power to you.
right.
You know, some people are just built different.
That's true.
Like me, I need my 8 hours.
Me
I
too.
need my caffeine, and
Yes.
we're good to go. That's
Absolutely.
all I need. Yeah. So now, looking back on it now, 5 years later, how does Courtney look at how you are as a player now versus when she first brought you to UNC? Like, does she go like, man, you've surpassed all my expectations? Like, what are y'all's conversations like these days?
Yeah, she definitely comes from an angle of I've surpassed all of her expectations, and I think sometimes she just sits there and goes, wow, like, I don't know how this happened, but I'm glad it did. And I think like one example that kind of describes how she's viewed me as an athlete over these 5 years is with the UNC women's basketball rebounding record. There was a point in the season where I was maybe like 200 rebounds away or something, and she was like, hey, Alyssa, maybe you can crack like the top 5. And in my head, I'm like, I'm getting the record. I'm going to find a way to get that record. And so I was mapping it out. I like divided out the averages for how many games we'd have left, and then was looking at the possibilities of if we had 2 conference tournament games and at least 2 NCAA games, like what does that look like for my numbers? And then when I got the record, she's like, whoa, like I did not think you could do that. And I was like, I know you did. And that's okay, because that's just like, she's a coach. I get it. She has to like look at numbers. She has so many different and moving pieces all the time. And so I don't falter for it, but I just sit there and smirk because I'm like, this is not a new story to me. It's like the same storyline, and the story always ends the same. I'm always reaching that goal that I set for myself. And so, yeah, her and I have a lot of respect for her. And again, just super grateful that she gave me that like really slim chance of an opportunity to come on her roster in that last spot. So.
Yeah, they didn't account for that dog in you.
You're right. No, exactly. Not at all. No, they overlooked
that's
it.
That's not in the stats.
Right.
Okay. Are there any goals you set out for yourself, whether it be on the court or off the court, going into college as a rookie?
I would say I knew the goal I had when I was going into college was to be a starter in my freshman year. And I remember, this is such a random story, but my dentist back home in Minnesota, he was like, Alyssa, there's no way that you're starting on this team your freshman year, and I'll make you a bet. And so he bet me money, a good amount of money. And so I took the bet. And I was like, I'm going to become a starter. A, for myself, because I knew that I could earn my way and I would find a way to do it. And B, I was like, why not? Like, this dentist is a family friend. We've known him, like I've known him my entire life. And that was just like an extra layer of motivation for me. And so I think that was one of my biggest goals. And it was a really shocking experience at first, because our first game of the season, I was in the last seat of the bench. And in high school, it's like, I was starting on varsity since freshman year, and I started every game. Softball, I started playing varsity and starting in 7th grade. in soccer, I started playing varsity and starting every single game since freshman year. And so my experience with sports, and granted, I'm from a smaller town in Minnesota, and my high school was pretty small, so there's a little more opportunity and a little less competition to be able to make those starting spots. But that's been my only experience. I've literally started on every single team I've ever played on. And so that was the first shock where I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be harder than I thought. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like watching the clock. The first quarter goes by. I'm like, Coach Banghart hasn't even looked my direction. Anytime she's like looking at the bench of girls, I like lean forward to try to try to stick out a little bit. And then I think like that game, I don't know who we were playing, but we were up by like 30. And so I eventually got in towards the end of the game and just didn't get much opportunity to really do anything. And after the game, I was like, wow, like I feel like I didn't even like play. I barely sweat. Like that was such an odd experience. And then I think maybe 1 or 2 games later, we were playing against High Point, and their team was just hitting. Like they were making all these threes, and we were down by like 15. And our coach was really upset with the starters. And so she was just like, gosh, okay, let me try this. She just put in nearly all the freshmen, and we started doing great. And I think since then, like we were just able to provide a spark, and myself specifically. And so I continued to like get in earlier and earlier and earlier as games went by. And then by Christmas, which wasn't too many games already, but by Christmas I was starting. And again, like back to like the team dynamic thing, that also kind of threw a rift because the person I was starting over was a starter for the last 2 years. And so that just adjusts dynamics a lot and people's expectations for their season. And so it was hard. That was a hard adjustment as well because I felt guilty about it for a little bit, but then I would kind of shake myself out of it and be like, no, Alyssa, you earned this. Like yes, this is exactly what I came for. This is what the coaches believe is best for the team. So I have to embrace it, and I have to like just dive like head first.
Yeah, which is something that maybe a lot of people don't understand within college sports is like you're not only competing against other teams, like it's like a coliseum. Like everybody's fighting everyone because they're trying to get that number 1 spot. Like it is dog eat dog.
Yeah, and everybody has come from a different experience of like high school and AAU, and like people sacrifice so much for this, and so it means a lot more. It's not just like it's not just, oh, I went to like played D1 for fun. Like it was cool. Like I just was played here and there. But no, everybody wants to be the star. Everybody wants to score 20 points and take 15 shots every game. And so if you have 12 to 15 or 18 girls with all with that mindset, it's going to be, it's a brutal like preseason and very long season.
Yeah. So, to segue from that, what about off the court accomplishments? Did you have anything in mind when you were going to college? Like, I say this because NIL. What was NIL like when you first went into college?
Yeah, so my first year of college was 2020, so it was during COVID. The law for NIL and athletes making money off of their name, image, and likeness has not passed yet at this time. But one of my off the court goals is I always just had a curiosity about like posting on social media, and I didn't know in what aspect. Like I used to watch like different YouTubers all the time growing up, and I was like, how hard is it to really like be a content creator? Like what is that like? And so I think that was probably my biggest goal. Is I was like, I want to step out of my comfort zone, and I want to make a video, and I want to post it, and I just kind of want to see how it goes. And I felt like I could finally do that after graduating from high school, because our high school is really small, and if anybody posts anything on social media, everybody knows about it. You walk into school, people are just kind of like, what is she doing? Like, she's trying to be an influencer. And there's just a lot more judgment that I think could have happened in high school because you're around the people in person all the time. But I felt like in college, if I were to post something, I don't have to like talk to the people that are really viewing my content or hear their opinions or any like negative energy, because I'm in college. I live in my dorm with my couple teammates and I see my team, and like that's about it. And so I felt a lot more comfortable kind of taking that risk in college. And so I just started making basically just random TikToks, like doing TikTok trends, different dances and stuff like that. And then I just started organically growing my audience. And I was growing it at a very small rate, but I was like, wait, this is kind of cool. Like I like doing this. It's really exciting to me. And it was actually a really good way to bond with some of my teammates as well, because just like, hey, you want to make a TikTok? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And we're like learning the dance together. And I felt like that was a way to bond with some of my teammates as well. And then, yeah, NIL passed, I don't know exactly when, but I think around my second year, so sophomore year. And then that's when I really started like putting a lot more intention behind my content and figuring out how I can get more followers in order to increase my brand partnership opportunities.
Who were some of those YouTubers or content creators that you were watching early on that were very inspirational?
Yeah.
So you do now?
There's actually two girls, and one of them, her name is Shaylee Gonzalez. We actually were represented by the same NIL agency. So she played at BYU, and she basically just did like college athlete day in the life content. And especially at the point where I wasn't sure if I really could, if I was cut out to be a college athlete, I was like watching her videos to try to see, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could probably do that. Like, okay, yeah, I think I could do that lift, and just kind of gauge where I was at. So I watched her videos, and she had and then she eventually transferred to Texas and played there, and now she's playing overseas. And then another girl in a very similar realm actually was also her teammate at BYU, and that her name is Paisley Johnson. And so I just watch their day in the lives all the time. I thought they're just really insightful and kind of helped me prep myself for the college scene. So
that's awesome. What was the do you remember off the top of your head what was the first video you made?
I don't know. It's something.
What's the first one that comes to mind?
The first one that comes to mind is literally just like a super random like dancing video that I made with one of my roommates in my dorm. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, and I keep all those videos up on my page just because I love to see the progression and the growth. But yeah, those videos they're just so funny now.
Yeah.
I still appreciate them, and I'm not embarrassed by them at all. I just like, I embrace it because that was a part of the journey, and every stage is going to look different. And like that, I just had a lot of fun doing those too. So it's really fun to look back on.
I always laugh looking back into my videos because I go, man, I really thought that was fire
right,
at the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, man,
Literally.
You are whack. That is so corny. But no, the reason I ask is because that is literally how I started my business and my career was I would watch, I don't know if you know Casey Neistat.
No.
He was a really big YouTuber back in the day. In New York, would pretty much tell all sorts of stories about New York and being a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Like he not invented, but like he daily vlogged for like, I think it was like 2.5 years straight every single day.
Oh my gosh.
And so like that was so inspirational to me because I was like, man, like this dude is just grinding.
Yeah.
I was like, let me give it a try. And so just because at the time I was competing in MMA, fighting all over the country. And I was like, why don't I vlog this? And so I started doing that, picked up a camera. And then from there, I was like, I'm pretty good at this. Like, let me start doing this for other people. And then from there, just took off and just started doing all sorts of things.
That's awesome.
And that's actually how we met was I was working with the UNC wrestling program and just happened to meet.
Yeah.
But so... What was your first NIL partnership?
Oh gosh, I think one of the first was a partnership with Lowe's, and they wanted me to do like a dorm makeover. And so I was all about that. I love decorating my dorm. I love just all the little typical college items that you get for a dorm. And so they gave me like a small amount of money, and they're like, here, like use this gift card and just go pick out whatever you want at Lowe's. And I'm like, Dad, is there even Durham stuff at Lowe's? I was like, I have no idea. I don't go in there. I don't go into Lowe's or Home Depot. Like, that's my dad's realm.
that's
And my dad was like, I bet there is. Like, you'll be fine. Like, you'll find some stuff. And I actually found a lot of great stuff. And so that was one of my favorite deals because I got to decorate my room and was feeling good. And so, yeah, I think that was one of my first ones. And that was a really great first deal for sure.
When you did your first NIL partnership, were you represented?
No.
Or you? Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
tell me, how did that even come about?
Yeah. So once I started like getting some more followers, I wasn't really thinking like, okay, wait, where's my first NIL deal coming from? I just like found it in a DM. And so I think Lowe's had DM me and they were like, hey, like we want to do a partnership with you. What are your rates? And I'm like, what's a rate? I'm like, I don't know what that means. and I was like, and then once I figured out, I was like, okay, so I got to kind of calculate what I think my value is based on my number of followers and what I would deem as acceptable for the amount of work I'm putting into the video. I'm editing myself, I'm shooting it myself, just all these other factors that I had to now consider. And I definitely got lowballed a lot, but I was looking at it a little more long term. So I wasn't too like tied up in a knot and stressed about like not getting the most money I could get, because I knew that if I started to do these deals and I created good quality content, I was like, I'm just going to trust. I was like, I don't know if this is how it works, but I'm going to trust that if I make a good video for Lowe's, that another brand is going to see that and be like, wait, this video actually looks pretty good. Like, I think I want one for my brand too. And so, yeah, again, I wasn't really too concerned about the rate. I just kind of threw out a random number and they're like, how about this? I'm like, yep, let's do it. Like, I wasn't really like putting that much thought into it yet. And then after a while, I was getting a lot more interest from brands, and it came to the point where it was actually pretty overwhelming to me because I was like I was like on my email and like texting brands back every single day. And at that time, I'm waking up and I have 8 a.m. class through like 12:30, and then I have practice from like practice weights and like rehab and stuff from like 1 to 5. And then I have to go home and I'm doing homework and I'm trying to get myself together for the next day. And so that's where I started to realize, I wonder if I should get an agent, and I wonder if that will be helpful for me. And so I started reaching out to different agents, setting up Zoom interviews. And this was something I was kind of spearheading by myself because none of our coaches or staff members or anybody at UNC really had any knowledge about what was going on. And so I felt like I had to be just kind of like my own person and my own agent and my own advisor for all of this because nobody's familiar with this space yet.
You laid it out perfectly. Like that right there is why I think you're one of the best at leveraging your brand. I think you've done an amazing job at it.
Thank you.
Like everything about it has screamed organic. You nailed it right there when you were saying, I'm not necessarily worried about the money. I'm worried about how this will look in the long term. Yeah. Like if a brand sees this and goes like, yeah, I think that would be good for me, then perfect. Yeah. If not for you. Because I think that's where a lot of athletes have a huge misconception on is like, oh, I'm just going to sell out for the dollar. It's like, okay, maybe you'll get a big deal now, but how does that contribute to your brand in the big picture? Because some things that you also see in the NIL space is like it seems like such a money play. Like you're like, okay, I get what you're doing here, and it's like you almost lose trust in that athlete and creator because you're like you're just like. I don't know. It feels. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it feels like you're selling out almost. Whereas I felt like every partnership you've done has never felt that way. Yeah. It's always felt like that's what you're aligned with. Yeah. So I'm very happy to know that was intentional.
Yeah. No, it was very intentional. And I think like you hit the nail on the head too. It's like athletes that just kind of sell out for the money aren't either aware of the opportunity that they could have if they go at it from a different angle. And so a lot of athletes miss out. And so I think that was my biggest thing going through this NIL experience was making sure that I inform my teammates as much as I could. And that is also kind of a touchy space because like people have different opinions on if they even like to post content about their life. Some people are more private. They just would prefer to stay off of social media. And so it's like those people are not looking for advice from me because they have other priorities. And I think that is the biggest thing that I learned is making sure to prioritize and figure out what your goals are. And then that's how you adjust your day-to-day life, or that's how you adjust the type of content that you put out. And so, yeah, I think and I even got a couple DMs from brands like that when they were offering me deals, they would compliment some of the videos that I did before. And so that was reassurance for me that I was doing the right thing, because I had that kind of intuition or whatever you want to call it in the beginning that, okay, maybe if I put a lot of time and effort and I exceed the brand's expectations and I post this really good piece of content, other brands will see it and they'll appreciate it and give me a brand deal. And then that held true, and it was proved true because I continue getting brand deals, and these brands, which they do not have to compliment my other videos for brand work I've done for other brands, but they do. And so I think that speaks volumes and has definitely helped me continue my NIL career.
That's awesome. And tell me, what does now that you have representation, what does it say if someone were to reach out to you right now and say, hey, I want to do a partnership with you, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm represented by a group that's called Raymond Representation. Michael Raymond is the owner, and Miji Suarez is the head of women's talent. And so I work really closely with them, and I decided to sign with them because of the type of people they are and the kind of habits and discipline that they have in their personal lives. And so instead of asking a ton of questions about what their agency can do for me, I was just asking what do you like to do in your free time? Or how often do you work out? Or just questions like that so I could get to know them as people. And that's actually served me really well down the line, because I feel like we're aligned on so many values, and that I have built a lot of trust with them. And so when I get brand deals, when they bring me brand deals, I trust that they are trying to get the best rate possible for me and looking out for me and making sure that nothing slips into a contract that I don't want to see or that doesn't align with what I'm about. And because I know that they know me really well, I have full trust that they continue to give me their best every single day. What was your question?
No, you did it. You nailed it. No, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Oh yeah.
No.
Also, I think one thing that's pretty cool, I don't know if all agencies do this, but if a brand reaches out to me personally first, then I can have my representation kind of work out the deal for me, but they'll still give me the full value of the money, because that deal, technically they didn't go out and get the deal for me. Oh. So it came to me first. And so I think that's something that's really neat, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, it's just good business.
Yeah,
it's good business. Shout out to your representation.
Yeah, shout out Raymond Representation. You guys are amazing. I love you guys.
Free plug. But the reason I ask is because it's a game that is changing every single day. Even with some of the stuff they passed last week, where now schools can start paying the athletes directly. Yeah. That's a game changer.
Yeah, it's going to be a messy world for a little bit. Until everybody figures it out and kind of gets their handle on it.
It's going to be messy. With that being said, as messy as it is, what is some of your advice to rising freshmen? What advice would you give to them about NIL and how to handle it?
Yeah, so I think I would give the advice that I got when I was a freshman. And that advice would be to find your niche. And I remember, and I got that advice from a TikTok video from somebody talking about social media. And that's the one piece of advice that stuck with me. And I almost hated that piece of advice for so long because I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, what does this mean? I have to, what's my thing? Okay, am I going to do hair, nails, sports? What is my thing? What do I want people to think of when they think of Alyssa? And I was just so frustrated because I was I just feel like I have a diverse skill set. I'm not super hard set in one skill, and I don't really know what thing to make content around. And so I try to back it up. I was okay, let's simplify it a little more. What do I love to do? And I was I love to play sports. And I was that's so vague, but what can I do with this? And so I would just think about like my high school career. I played softball, I played basketball, I played soccer. I would throw the football around in the front yard with my brothers. They'd make me tackle the dummies and like have them the dummies attached to my waist and run up hills. Like I just did so many sports related things, and I'm like, okay, so if that based on that advice from that video, I was like, if that's my niche, sports, great. It's so vague. Everybody wants to be something in sports. I was like, how can I turn this into like a tangible piece of content? And that was the birth of my sports series. And so the series I started on TikTok and eventually cross-posted to Instagram and on YouTube Shorts. I was training with fellow UNC athletes because I knew that I had like a diverse athletic ability. And at the same time, I was trying to figure out if there was an overall purpose that I could attach to my content. And that overall purpose was to shed light on other sports at UNC, because UNC is so dominant and well known for the basketball aspect. And I just believed, especially because there's so many national champions like at UNC, whether it's from lacrosse to soccer, field hockey, you name it. Like you go down the line, there's so much more to UNC sports other than basketball. And so I felt like I was just shocked. I was like, wait, I think I found it. Like, I love to play all these different sports and kind of like compete with other athletes and have them teach me what they're doing and have a blast by shocking them, because I can throw a football really far, or I can like catch a one-handed pass. And then at the same time, I get to fulfill my purpose of shedding light on other sports. And so that was just a really exciting time for me, because I was like, felt like I could finally express myself in the way I wanted. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to kind of figure out who you are and take a step back. And like everybody has a voice, and you can attach a purpose to that as well if you choose. And I just believe that that's the most successful formula in the NIL space, especially when it comes to content creation.
Real quick, if you're watching this and you're thinking, man, I would love to do something like this. I'm a college athlete and I want to leverage my brand. That's literally what we do. So reach out to us. We can help you. Links in the description. All right, back to it.
That's awesome, because everything you're describing is what people in my field would call a brand. So
yes.
it's almost like you're a business major. What did you major in?
I majored in advertising and PR, minored in business, and then I just got my master's and basically just studied a little bit more advertising.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Pro at it.
No, exactly.
No, but that's awesome, because that is across business, across athletics. That is so important, to tell your story and to embody everything that is you, so that everything that comes out is so organic and it just feels effortless. What was the first sport you reached out to?
I think the first sport I did was soccer, and I was most comfortable reaching out to them because I knew two girls on the soccer team. And so I just I didn't have their phone numbers. Like, we weren't super close, but I just DM'd them on Instagram, and I was like, hey, do you have any free time? I really want to make this video for a TikTok. I really don't have all the details ironed out. So, but I think just block off an hour and maybe meet me at the soccer field. And the girls were like, oh my gosh, yeah, I would love to. And so it was a little weird kind of being in that space for the first time, because once everybody was there, they're like, okay, what do you want us to do? And I'm like, and I just kind of was like going with the flow. And I was like, how about you guys like show me a skill, and then I'll just try to do the same thing. And so that became my kind of format for every video, is have the athlete that's the expert, that's at the D1 level performing and doing that skill every day, have them show me their skill, and then just kind of see how I measure up. And there's been some videos where I shocked the athlete. They're like, whoa, wait, you're actually really good at that. And there's some where I just get laughed at, which I think is the beauty of the content too.
Yeah. So tell me, what was the one that was the most unexpected, and then the one where you're like, oh my gosh, this is way harder than I thought it was.
I think the most unexpected one was the football one. So I had
that was crazy.
Two friends, that one's a quarterback, one's a wide receiver, and they were super shocked because I was telling my brothers actually before I was filming the video, and I was like, this is the video I'm filming with these guys, and my brothers were all laughing. They were like, these guys are going to be shocked, just because, again, I grew up playing in the front yard, just throwing around the football and catching passes and stuff. And so just being able to throw as far as I can, like a really good spiral, catching a pass with one hand, doing a toe drag before falling out of bounds after a catch. Like those boys were like, what the heck have you been doing your whole life? I'm like, I'm literally just a sports girl. I swear I lived outside,
That's what
basically.
I do.
Yeah. And then I think the one that I struggled with the most that I was really shocked about was swimming.
Oh my gosh, swimming is so hard.
Swimming is very difficult, especially if you, in my opinion, if you didn't grow up doing it, or if you're not a person that's commonly finds yourself in water. And I do not swim in the ocean very often. I do not swim in the pool. I only swim to survive if I have to. And so that's just not my cup of tea. And I knew that going into it, but I'm also somebody that like will dive in head first and not really think twice. And so I'm like trying to race these girls that have swam in the Olympics, and I'm getting absolutely cooked. And then I also am the worst diver off of a diving board. And so that one caused me a little bit of physical discomfort when I would just completely biff the dive. But that was a blast, and I think that was the one that got the most laughs from like the girls I was shooting the video with, and a lot of the comments really enjoyed seeing me struggle. So
I was gonna say like when you were saying that, I was thinking like it has to be either gymnastics or swimming. But
oh my gosh, gymnastics was bad too.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like it just requires so much strength. Like I'm training for an Ironman next year.
Oh,
and so
awesome.
I'm trying to work on my swimming conditioning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard.
It is hard.
Like it's insane. Like I'm just trying to, because like you were saying, I only swim to survive.
Yeah.
So like I have to like work on my form and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, how can I work on my form if I'm exhausted by the time I'm even
Right.
like going?
And
you
my
know?
other thing with swimming is like, so like when you're swimming, you're working out. But then because you're underwater for most of the time, you have to hold your breath while you're working out. So I was trying to like imagine the crossover. Like if I was playing basketball, if I had to hold my breath every time I was like between this line and this line, I think I'd pass out. Yeah. So that's why swimming is really difficult for me. So I grew a much larger respect. I already had respect for swimming, but it just grew a whole lot more.
Yeah, even more. Just seeing what they do, it's insane.
Yeah.
When you look back on your career, not just as a player, but how do you want to be remembered? Do you ever think about that?
I do think about that a lot. And I think that's driven a lot of my decisions, especially as a team captain for 3 years, is I want to be remembered for like how I cared about people. And I want to be remembered for the reason of not just like, I didn't come here just to achieve these personal goals and leave. Like I came here to be a part of and establish a community. And so I think that's, out of all my accolades and everything, I think my biggest accomplishment is being able to connect with young girls around in the community and families that live at Chapel Hill. I've realized the impact, not only because like I've seen the impact of young girls wearing my jersey and coming up asking for autographs and pictures, which is all cool, but I've also been in their shoes. I looked up to those two girls that played at BYU, and I would have done anything to get a picture with them or to even have a conversation with them. And so understanding that I was finally in that position, I knew that I had choices to make. I was like, I could just kind of go about my way and not really kind of bat an eye or give anybody the time of day, or I could really try to be like a present role model in some of these girls' lives. And so I think one way that I continuously work to leave a legacy outside of the basketball court is anytime a young girl DMs me, asks me questions, or says like, hey, Alyssa, can I talk to you about like my high school basketball team or anything of that sort, I'm always responding. And so I check my DMs all the time. And like if there's like random DMs or DMs of negativity, I just delete it and I don't even look at it. But especially if it's a young girl, I'm always jumping up at that opportunity to be able to help somebody out, because I was looking for that when I was their age. So I just want to be at least an opportunity or like anything for these girls. And I think that's what leads me into my basketball camps is I want to give back to the young girls in the community. And just because I believe there's so much value in that opportunity, and I don't want to take that for granted.
That's awesome. And tell me, what do you have any basketball camps coming up?
I do. I'm actually running, this is my 4th year of doing basketball camps, and on August 2nd, I'm running my basketball camp here in North Carolina, and the signups are open. Registration link is on my Instagram, and then the following week, August 9th, is my camp in Minnesota. And so that was something that was really big for me, is being able to provide an opportunity for basketball camps in not only the place that I have cherished so much over these last 5 years and played my college career, but also back home where I had girls that supported me even in high school and that were looking up to me and that I was able to give back to as well. And so I'm having those 2 camps in those locations, and I'm super excited. I want to get as many girls as I can just so I can share the lessons that I've learned throughout my career, both on and off the court, and just kind of guide them in as much as possible.
That's awesome. And when you go back home and you see your parents, like what does it mean to them to see everything you've accomplished?
Yeah, I think they're kind of just shocked and stunned because I've never been the type of kid that they needed to motivate. I was just always doing my own thing. Like after a high school game, if I didn't think I played well, I would go sit in the garage, in like our 3rd stall garage, and I just would like reflect on the game. And I wouldn't let myself go inside until I felt like I had processed my emotions, I'd processed how the game went, and then usually we had like a couple workout machines in there. Then I would just do like as many reps as possible. We had a leaper machine, and I was always like, I always wanted like strong legs because I wanted to be able to jump and just like be faster. And so I would usually work out on that machine and do just as many reps as possible and do like a couple things like that before I went back inside. And so my parents kind of realized that from the beginning, and they just supported me. Lightly because I wanted to go my own way. So yeah, they're really grateful too because I gave them a reason to leave the state of Minnesota because all 3 of my brothers went to colleges in Minnesota. And so my parents were like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll stay here. But after I committed to North Carolina, they were like, I guess we have to leave the state. And they're a family.
Like, I got other plans.
Yeah, they're like a classic. My parents are like a classic Midwest family. They love like the small town life. They're totally content with sitting on a lawn chair in like the driveway with our neighbors and like get out the fire pit, and like those are the summer plans. Like we never had big summer plans of traveling to this beach or going here or here or here. So it kind of shifted their life as well, and I think it kind of benefited everybody because everybody got out of their comfort zone.
That's awesome. What so to go back a little bit, I always love asking athletes this question. Do you think you love winning more or do you hate losing more? Which do you think drives you the most?
I mean, I feel like this is probably the more common answer, but I feel like I would hate losing more. But now that I'm thinking about it,
because you could see it both ways.
Yeah, because I think when you win a game, whether it was like a win where you played well or was a win you just got by, you feel a little more content and you kind of relax a little bit. And I think that's a different challenge because you have to get up the next day and still work hard, even though you won and you're like, oh wait, I did good. Like I'm doing fine. When really you don't know like what the competition is doing behind you. And so I think there's more benefits in losing because it like just kind of grows your motivation. But I don't know. That's a hard question.
It's a tough one. It really makes you think.
Yeah, it does. It kind of so I just think it depends what like your priorities are. Like, so I would prioritize like, I want to get better all the time and it's going to help me get better if I had just lost. Because if I had just won, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm good. Like I can take today off and just kind of relax a little bit. Yeah, so
I know what you mean. The reason I ask is really just personally also because everything that you've been able to do throughout your career did the pressure ever get to you? Like, how did you handle the pressure? So that's what I have. That's what I have a lot of a hard time with sometimes, is putting that pressure on myself of like, okay, I did this, but like, I've got this next thing with the next thing, and I'm like, okay, but I gotta enjoy a little bit of it too. That's what I have a hard time with, is smelling the roses, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like always on to the next thing. Like, how did you balance that?
I think how I think about the pressure, because there is a ton of pressure that I experience every single year, and I always thought that when I like figured out this situation, then I'd be good. But what I realized is that there's always a next obstacle, and there's always another situation of pressure, and those experiences don't get any easier. The challenges don't get any easier, but you just become better equipped to handle them. And so now I can recognize like, all right, this is a high pressure situation. I'm not going to get anxious. I'm going to stay calm, and I'm going to stick to my game because I've prepared for this moment. And so having the maturity to be able to like analyze what's happening and be like, and remind yourself that you're more than capable of getting through it, because you've gotten through all these other challenges in your life. So what's this one, in the grand scheme of things? And so I think once I was able to shift my mindset to that, it really helped me, because I was like, dang, another challenge, like, gosh, like another like minor injury, or like another shooting slump, like all those things I got so anxious and overwhelmed by. But then once I like understood that that's just how life is, like life, you're always going to have another challenge, no matter what part of your life you're in, but you're just going to be a lot more mature and experienced to be able to handle it.
Yeah. Because there was this quote I'd heard. It was like, it went something along the lines of, if you were to have someone who was tough and patient and self-disciplined, you probably wouldn't put them through a very chill life. You'd throw a lot of challenges at them to get them to develop into that person.
Definitely.
So it's like there's a cost associated with everything. Like, if you want the thing, here's how much it costs. All of this sweat equity, all of this hard work and frustration. Where, like, did you ever feel, this could apply to anything, but did you ever feel like caught in the cycle of like, man, I keep doing this, but it feels like it's just going in loop. Like, whether it be challenges on the court, off the court, like dealing with injuries. Like, can you recall a time where you felt like that and then you overcame it?
Well, I love the quote that you said. I think that's so true. I would say, yeah, I've definitely experienced something like that. I think one thing that comes to mind is just like producing and like meeting your averages that you're expected to, whatever player, whatever like numbers you produce as that type of player. And so I think that's something that was really challenging, just because there's a lot of expectations that you have to meet, and there's always going to be new challenges in the way. So I would say just being able to show up every single day and provide that same version of yourself is something that was really challenging.
How do you stay grounded and consistent even with everything that's going on around you?
Yeah, so I'm somebody that is very faith-based. I believe in God and Jesus Christ, and that is really been the only thing that I can attribute my ability to get through all the ups and downs of just life in general, and specifically being a college athlete. That was just literally the only consistent thing in my life. And my relationship with God has definitely grown throughout my college career. And I think an early test that I had in my faith was there weren't a lot of people who believed in the same thing that I did when I came to college. So when I'm going back to the conversation we had about fitting in on the court, I felt like I also didn't fit in because of my faith. And that was something that was a really big struggle for me, because I was like, did I just grow up in a bubble? And was I like was my small community in Minnesota like the only ones that believed in God, or like what's going on? Because this is the first time again that I've like really left the state of Minnesota and lived somewhere else. And all my friends at school, we all had the same faith. And so that was something that was a big adjustment for me. And so I'm just really proud of myself for being able to, obviously I wasn't perfect and I know I never will be, but, just being able to go through that process and like just constantly be drawn back to my faith was just such a huge blessing. And I'm glad that I didn't get pulled too far away from it where I was gone from it for too long. And then I think another important piece to my college experience is that community. And so, like I said before, like I want to be known for being a part of a community and establishing community. And so fortunately, I was able to find Faith for Christian Athletes. And so I went to FCA meetings every Wednesday night. In the beginning, I heard about it, but I just didn't really know what it meant. And then I was asking around and I found a friend that I trust. I was like, wait, you go to FCA? Wait, can I come with you? And then, so after I went with my friend that one time, no matter who was there, who wasn't there, I was in there every Wednesday. And so that was something that just helped me tremendously. And yeah, so God is definitely keeping me grounded forever, for the rest of my life, always.
I know exactly what you mean because growing up, we went to church. But it wasn't like something my parents pushed heavily, but it was one of those things that kind of fizzled out. And so like I think that's what tied back to a lot of what I was talking about earlier of like sometimes feeling that pressure and like feeling overwhelmed, where like certain situations within business, I was thinking like, oh, I can't handle all of this alone.
Right.
So it's funny how like business is what brought me back to my faith in God, and it's something I agree with what you're saying. Like it gives you a greater sense of purpose than just like doing it for yourself.
100%.
Like I feel like I'm doing it for others. Like I share that same sentiment of like I feel like I'm put here to help people.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like, it doesn't matter. I'm here to help people. How can I do that to the best of my ability?
Right.
We're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely like the biggest and most consistent form of fulfillment. And so, yeah, and that's another thing, like I think a big challenge for really anybody in life, but when you're a college athlete, you put your identity a lot in your performance. And that is the most brutal cycle that anybody can be in. And once I found and kind of put the pieces together, I'm like, oh wait, my identity is in Jesus Christ, and that is never changing. I was like, wow, okay, this makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's funny you were saying you were like, I felt like I didn't belong, like coming into college, like felt out of place. 'Cause I almost feel like, when you go to college, if you're kind of in a bubble a little bit of like, you're in that in-between point of like not fully an adult just yet, but you're also not in high school either. Like when, was there a moment maybe in college or when you graduated where you were like, oh my, like this is adulthood? Like for me, it was when I had to, first time I had to pay taxes. Yeah. And when I had to do like a tax return, I was like, oh God, this is adulthood. Oh God, this sucks.
I think mine was even like a smaller example than that, because I'm really grateful for my parents because they did so much for me, and I didn't realize that until I was living on my own in a dorm and had no car. And so I was riding my scooter down to Franklin Street with my backpack, and I would buy groceries from Target, and I would just stuff all my groceries in my backpack, and I would ride back. And then when I got home, I was like, wait, now I have to cook too, and then I have to clean, and then I have to do my own laundry, and the laundry's like all the way across the courtyard. Just all those little like daily life things that you take for granted. Because my parents were just overly helpful. Looking back, I'm like, wow, you guys did a lot more than you needed to for me.
It makes you real thankful.
Yes, for sure. And so I think just even small moments like that would constantly remind me of, okay, I'm an adult. I'm now my own boss. And so now I need to start navigating what kind of person I need to be and adjust my habits accordingly.
Was there a moment when you realized your brand was more than basketball? What was that moment?
I think I'm actively trying to make sure my brand is more than basketball. But I think that series that really kind of blew up my accounts of training with other athletes kind of was the first step. I was like, all right, I'm definitely heading the trajectory of being more than just a basketball player. Like I had like more videos or more content of me not just dribbling a ball or holding a ball in a photo shoot picture. And so I think that was that moment. But I'm still actively trying to make sure that when somebody like thinks of my brand, it's not, oh, the girl that played at UNC for basketball. Yeah, Alyssa. Like I want it to be my name first. I want it to be like, oh yeah, Alyssa Ustby. Yeah, I think she played at UNC for basketball, and then she did this, and then she did this. So that's kind of how I at least organize it in my brain. And so just trying to actively take steps to be able to do that has been a little bit of a challenge for me recently, but I feel confident knowing where I'm going and what my end goal is, which is Alyssa, the this, that, and the third, instead of just identified by, which was a big part of my life, but a UNC basketball player. And so that's something I'm I feel like I'm right in the mud in. I'm trying to figure that out and make sure that I produce content that supports that goal.
So tell me, what is Alyssa Ustby's next chapter? What is that? When you think about it and you envision it, what does that look like?
I think I want to continue growing out in that sports series. And so the challenge of that series is making sure I have enough time to schedule opportunities with athletes to film. A lot of athletes are in season, they're out of season, they're traveling, they're doing this. And so it's not just content that I'm producing on my own, because if it was just myself, I would have a content schedule and I'd be able to kind of knock things out when it made sense for me, which would be a lot more frequently than trying to meet up with athletes that are busy and doing their own thing. And so I think just growing in that aspect of just being an overall athlete and dabbling in so many sports is the direction that I want to keep going. And then I'll also be in professional basketball and participating in that pretty soon. And so that I just kind of want to be like little updates, like, oh wait, now she's playing, or she's like playing here and she's doing this. But my big thing is I want to continue producing more just general sports content like I have been, because I kind of think that's what I want my brand identity to be around.
Yeah. Is there a sport or maybe even a sports team that you're eyeing, like this would be a really cool video concept? Like, do you already have some ideas cooking?
Not necessarily in that realm. I think just more of like me trying different sports and continuing to do that. And maybe instead of like training with a fellow UNC athlete, I'm training with a fellow professional athlete. So I think that's probably my next big one. And one thing that I've actually been, that I haven't talked about before that I've been doing is I've been practicing team handball. And so I'm going to kind of dabble into that in the professional realm as well. And so I think that might be a unique opportunity for me to try different professional sports that aren't as commonly known. And so I think that's more the direction that I want to go. So like the similar style of videos, similar format, because I believe that like consistency in the form of a series are really successful videos. And so I think that's the direction I'm going to go.
All right, to wrap this up. All right. NIL, is it for everyone? What do you think NIL is going to look like over the next year, couple of years, 5 years? What is the prediction from the queen of NIL?
Mm-hmm. Wow, thank you. Generous title. I think NIL is for everyone. Does everybody want it? No. The opportunity is there, and I think the more resources now that your school has, the better equipped you're going to be to be able to have the knowledge of how you should start a brand, how you should post on social media, and even the NIL aside from the social media and the NIL that's within, basically, for lack of a better description, purchasing players to play for their teams. And so it's a little bit more like in the weeds now because there's a lot of moving parts, and there's not a lot of information out there to support athletes yet. So I think in the future of NIL, I think there's going to be like, which I'm sure they're already working on it already, but like heads of NIL and like teams at every university that support in content creation, idea generation, just all these things to help make their athletes more marketable, because not only will it bring more attention to their school, but it'll also provide them with more brand deals. And so I think that's a win-win for the athletes and the university. I think just such an interesting part that I'm still curious and trying to explore is the opportunities that some schools have to pay certain players on their teams and to purchase people out of the transfer portal. I think that's like not gotten out of hand, because it's still like, I mean, like college sports is still moving, but I think out of hand in the sense that, like, I feel like the general consensus from everybody is what the heck is going on. And some athletes are getting paid crazy amounts of money, while on the other hand, some athletes are not getting much money at all. And I think that's where my experience was interesting, because when I was deciding whether I should come back to UNC for my 5th year or not, I had a lot of interest from SEC schools mainly that were offering a lot of money. And it was very interesting because when I was talking to like our coaches and administrators here at UNC, they said that they just didn't have the money. And so that's really shocking, because UNC is a very well-respected school. It's literally known all across the world. Like, that brand is recognized absolutely anywhere. And so that's where I chose loyalty over money, because again, like I'm playing the long game. I'm seeing that there's more benefit for myself and there's more benefit for the people in this community that I really value in the long run. And I just didn't want to quit cash out and to go to another school. But so I think that, like, although a lot of teams are paying, like I said, like a ton of money for some of these athletes, there's a lot of schools that need to step up their game, and that they need to value their athletes with what the market is valuing them at. Otherwise, that's a disservice to the athlete, because they're in the same grind as maybe that SEC school players are, and so you have to treat them as such. Otherwise, you're going to continue losing the recruiting battle, continue to lose the transfer portal battle, and things are going to get worse very, very fast for the entire program, because as we know, like, sports are just the biggest marketing opportunity for any school. Obviously, academics are like a big pull for people's decisions on where they go, but at the end of the day, I think the sport world drives those opportunities for schools, and they have to respect it as such and adjust their priorities with where they're putting their money.
Bam. You heard it. You heard it here first. Colleges, step your game up.
Yes.
Okay. Alyssa, tell them anything you got coming up. I know you mentioned you got camps. Tell them all about where they can find you, and just things you got going.
Yeah, you guys can find me on pretty much every social media platform. My Instagram is at Alyssa_Ustby. My TikTok is Alyssa Ustby. YouTube, same thing as well. I have 2 basketball camps coming up, one in North Carolina on August 2nd and one in Minnesota on August 9th. The sign-up link is in my bio on my Instagram, and I can't wait to see you guys there.
Alyssa, thank you for stopping by. I'm a huge fan of everything you do, and I wish you all the success in the world. And I can't wait to see you kill it.
Thank you so much. Likewise, appreciate you for having me.
Of course. Bam!
Woo!
Did it.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
I want to give a massive thank you to Alyssa. She pulled the curtain back on what it took to succeed in college and business and in life. If you're a college athlete and you're serious about building a life after competition, getting paid and opening doors and getting more opportunities, then reach out to us. You don't need millions of followers. You just need the right strategy. And don't forget, your brand is your leverage. Peace.